Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two and a Half Salesmen. I'm your host, Mario, to get my phenomenal host, Julio. And welcome to another talk around the topic of B2B sales. Julio, how are you, man? As always, looking phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm feeling phenomenal too. So it's great.
Nice, awesome. So just as an note for everyone, I am currently taping this from Berlin. So I don't have my usual equipment. So if you're kind of hearing me not too well, you know the reason why, right? So just like a PCA before we begin. All right, so let's talk about, I would say, a very important topic in sales, and one that doesn't get that much prominence with, I would say, gurus or trainers, or kind of in the airways, right? Would you agree that the people just maybe don't talk about the subject?
Well, I mean, I would say people talk about it, just they don't necessarily want to talk about it.
But it's not a sexy subject, I would say, right?
No.
So it's not outreach. It's not, as you and I talked about, cold calling. It's not social media like we had even last week. So just for anyone, please go follow, even install Altered Up if you are LinkedIn Alter. Okay, so today's topic is how to overcome slumps and plateaus in sales. Meaning you've been doing sales for a bit, and then suddenly it stops, or you just can't move like from here to here. And this is exactly what Drew and I will cover in this very lovely episode of Two and a Half Salesman podcast. So Julio, I'll let you have the kind of opening remarks regarding this topic.
I mean, look, there's only one method that I've seen work over and over again.
Already with controversy, only one method.
Literally, and it's you take 3 shots of tequila before you start calling. I mean, we actually did that once with a guy that was really scared, and we actually got him a little bit drunk in the office. And I mean, he was great on the phone after that.
What I am actually referring to in this topic, and this is of course very creative way to kind of get your kick started. But what if you don't have this issue, right? So you want to do cold calls, right? So you don't have this problem, but every time you do it, you get the same result, right? So you don't you don't, if for instance the goal of cold calling, we will just go with the most accepted definition, although I don't agree with it, is to, let's say, schedule an appointment. But we can argue what the goal of cold calling is.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
See if there's a problem, to go a little bit deeper, to get them fired up, to get them interested in whatever problem you are solving. So, but the end result should be a scheduled discovery, right? Or opportunity created. So let's kind of just hold on that one. So what if you're just keep doing the same thing, sending emails, doing cold calls, LinkedIn, but you're not scheduling anything? Or you've in January you scheduled 5, February 6, March 5, April 7, May 5, and June
0,
4. Like you kind of, you're the, like you're not having any breakthroughs, right? So let's talk about the slumps and plateaus, right?
I mean, I would say, maybe controversially, but I think slumps are easier to fix than plateaus. Because if you had it,
I will not disagree on this.
You know, like a slump, usually it's here. That's what's happening usually, right? While the plateau is usually about your skills or your methodology, I would say. So I think, what do you want to start from? The plateau, or the
Well, let's go with slumps. I mean, they are kind of easier to maybe address, right? So number one, obviously, the cause is usually, I would argue, it's morale failure, right? So you throw two dices and it came up snake eyes, right? So how do you get out of that? Especially if you kind of have, like in previous few months, you had some kind of a track record, right? So what do you do?
I mean, I think we can give the typical bullshit advice of just saying, you know, like remotivate yourself, blah, blah, blah. I think the easiest way I've found is talking plans with your manager.
Okay. What
You
do you
know,
mean?
just have a sit down with your manager and just put your ego away and be like, look, what I'm doing wrong. What do you think I should be doing differently? And then kind of agree on a plan moving forward, because that will give you a different level of accountability and will take you back to basics, which is usually what the problem lies. You're not sending enough emails, or you're sending crappy emails. You're not doing LinkedIn properly. You're not making enough calls, or when you're making phone calls, you sound like you're dead, etc., right? I mean, that I don't know. Would that be your first step as well?
Yeah, I would definitely go with either self-assessment or someone else assessing my performance. So what am I doing that is out of the ordinary, right? So how do I sound on the phone? Right? So can you look at my emails? So basically just going through my whatever data I've accumulated, right? And you're completely right. Am I doing less phone calls? Am I what are my emails like? Right? So what has changed? What is, and maybe nothing has changed, because look, and I've been a huge, you know me, right? So, and especially fans who are kind of regulars, you know, that I'm like very big on self-improvement and self-development, right? So I read about 50 books every year. Maybe you've stopped working on your craft. Because if you stop advancing, you will slowly start to erode, and you will slowly start to go down, because you just lose skill. That's kind of my first, like, what should you be doing going forward?
I think I think it's again, it's a motivational thing, right? If you're a biller and is capable of doing the numbers, and then suddenly that stops, you know, it's just pure inner game. There's nothing else around it, right? So I would definitely agree that it's about you looking inwards and figuring out, and doing the self-analysis and looking where is going wrong. More often than not, you just need to kick up your ass, either from yourself or from your manager or from people around you.
What if the performance itself, right? So the task that you're doing is not the issue. So you keep doing the same amount of phone calls. You sound, at least to yourself and to your manager, you sound kind of the same. You're sending the same email you sent, or similar emails with kind of statistical error, and same for LinkedIn, right? So what then? Like, what is happening then?
You mean like you're doing everything exactly the same as before and results just stopped?
Yes.
I mean, I'll be honest, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I've seen it several times.
You've seen it. I mean, generally, like if you sound the same, like if you coming across the same, I don't think I've ever seen that before, because usually when I've seen that is more that the person kind of like doesn't believe it's going to happen, right? But then you don't sound the same.
All right. Well, that is a good point. Maybe it's, so I'm a huge believer in something that is called micro signals, and we never talked about these on this podcast. I think maybe this is a good time to bring them up. So what I mean by micro signals is there are these things that every person is kind of, a silly word to say, but quote unquote emitting out of him or herself. So I would say when you're in a slump, although you do sound kind of the same, those micro signals, those little things are probably not. And I would say it would take a very skilled manager to get you, or a skilled leader, to be more precise, to get you right on track.
True, true. And by micro signs, you mean like it's a bit dreading a little bit the cold calling session.
Yeah,
just can't be asked being on LinkedIn and finding things to talk to people about. Like that's the type of thing you got.
Like before you've, all right, it's cold calling time. Let's dive into it. And now the monologue that or the inner dialogue, the thing that you're having with yourself is now, I gotta do cold calls. But that's like 1 second of doubt. And then you go in, all right, it's cold calling, and you go into your routine. But you kind of go into it with the wrong attitude.
I think there's two potential causes that I've seen over the years for that. Number one would be that your actual goals need to be reassessed and perhaps realigned. So you could be simply thinking whether sales is for you, which happens to everyone, you know. And that's when you gotta realize whether you're in for the fight or you just don't care anymore. So that's number one.
You mean maybe they have checked out?
Yeah,
but they're kind of on the autopilot.
Yeah, like it's like I've seen this a lot, you know, like they're just not that motivated anymore to do the work, and like they haven't realized, you know, and at that point doesn't mean it's gone, like, but a good manager will talk and figure out whether it's a chronic case of the person just is not happy doing sales anymore, or whether it's just a situation of like, okay, I'll have to do this because. That would be my two ideas. Alternatively, the other good sign about this is you're actually in early stage of burnout.
We didn't talk about burnout.
No, I mean, we talked about mental health in sales.
We did a little bit, yeah.
But I think that could be the other sign, is that if you start activities that before you enjoyed suddenly are, there's a good chance that you're having there's a possibility you just need to fuck off 2 weeks on a holiday, basically. That's what I would say. Because it doesn't have to be you're not motivated. Maybe it's just that, basically. What do you think about that?
I've seen a lot of salespeople just flaming out. So from what I've seen, when it comes to slumps, and we can talk about plateaus a little bit later. I mean, we will anyway. And maybe the last thing that I will say about the sales slump is, so people who usually experience this are junior sales reps. So here's what I mean by that. So junior salespeople, when they begin, they're full of energy, they're full of enthusiasm, and they make up lack of skill with energy, right? But sales is very tough. If you don't have thick skin, you get a lot of rejection. And the energy / enthusiasm kind of slowly starts to erode, right? And when you lose that, you don't have skill to rely on if you haven't been upgrading, if you haven't been leveling up. And then you will inevitably hit a slump because you haven't upgraded your skills. You didn't improve anything regarding your sales process. And you, as you said, probably the motivation has changed. You no longer want to help the customer. You no longer want to serve. What you want to do is you want to set up the meeting. And then you're probably making mistakes that you are not aware of.
Yeah. This I would totally agree with.
Yeah.
I think...
I mean, everything being the same thing, maybe I was just a little bit of exaggerating. Probably, if you're a skilled manager, you will hear in a salesperson voice that his energy is different. He's writing different emails. So like you will notice the changes, right? I was just doing this as a thought exercise. Probably there will be signs that something is happening. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about plateaus. So salespeople, in at least in my experience, don't want to read, don't want to learn, don't want to be better. But we can talk about different types of plateaus, right? So number one is just getting the same results, right? So not being kind of able to break through. So if you're an AI, I don't know, you close 5 deals or 2 deals per month, right? But I would let's expand this. Plateaus in size of the contracts. So you spend 1 year, 2 years at one company, 3, then go to another, then go to another, but you are still in the same contract range. Kind of get stuck there on a permanent basis. So how do you break through? Specifically, how do you break through that?
Well, I mean, it's I think it's quite a simple question. You're probably just staying in the comfort zone, right? You're probably just sitting where you can close a 200K deal, or maybe let's say 1,000 people company. I know I can close that deal. I know I can consistently deliver on that, and you just decide to stay there. The only problem in sales is that it's probably one of the few jobs where coasting will actually eventually break the ship.
Oh, this is a great sentence. We should definitely use this clip for the promo.
Yeah, true, we should.
The words of wisdom from Julio. Coast sales is probably one of the rare professions where coasting will break the ship. All right, this is look. I've seen a lot of salespeople just. I agree. Comfort zone would be, I would say, somewhere on the top, right? So somewhere on the top of the list, because they feel okay with it. They know how to run those deals. Probably staying in the same industry for some time. And then one of the things why I have to always come back to this is salespeople don't want to be better today than they were yesterday's. No one wants to read books. No one wants to be a part of different WhatsApp. You and I are both members of how many WhatsApp groups and Slack channels and Slack boards and stuff like that, where we actually, in these rare moments where we have free time, they're actually discussing what is happening currently in the market in real time and trying to learn from that. Even in this conversation, you and I are kind of learning between ourselves, right? So,
of course,
most salespeople actually don't want to do that. They are approaching the sales profession. I've seen this for the last 20 years. Like I've been in sales for a long time. They are approaching it as if this is just a 9-to-5 job. Or 8-to-4. They're not approaching it as a vocation. As a career,
I'm sorry, I don't think that's the real problem. First of all, because most salespeople don't work 9-to-5, they work way harder than that. But also,
you would be surprised.
I mean, I would say compared to most professions, like you probably have more salespeople doing extra hours than most of the situations I've seen. But it's more the fact that I think the problem comes that if you're good in sales, you tend to be making better money than most of the people that are on the same social category as you, which means your people
probably same age group.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I started making really good money in sales, I was literally making more money than my parents put together, right? And at that point, it's very hard to not think you're the shit. So,
especially if you're a young 26-year-old with no college degree, earning 4 times more than your software developer friends who finished.
There we go. So I don't want to entirely blame this on I don't want to say that salespeople are not prone to learn, because I think once they do realize that they need to go forward, like a lot of them actually put in the work, because that's what they're good at, is doing the work. But I think a lot of the time you just, I'm sorry, but if I'm making, I was making 120K at 24, 25, right? So at that point, I don't give a shit what people are going to tell me. I'm like, oh, yeah, you tell me what you want, man. Like, whatever, you know, like, and that's the problem. And it took me like 7 years to walk out of that mindset, right? So
yeah,
I think that's a real issue, I would say.
I mean, I've said this many times. Do admire the way you approach sales and the way you think about it. And one of the things, and I kind of use you as sometimes I use you as an example. So if you're having to be in survey, we have someone is mentioning you, kind of you start to get hiccups, right? So if you ever get hiccups, this means I'm talking about you, right? Positively behind your back. I mentioned the when you went to UK to meet up with I don't remember who you will probably tell
we have a meeting, guys.
Yeah, we have a meeting, guys, and you who've been in sales for a long time and worked with some of the big companies just sat there and said, dude, I just want to learn or relearn or upgrade my cold calling skills. You guys are the shit, and I want to learn from you. When you sat there and you're allowed to be coached, basically, to get drilled.
Yeah.
At your stature, at your
well, we might explain. Well, but I think that's
but not a lot of salespeople will do that. Like I know maybe a handful of people. I would say only top performers will volunteer to do that.
I think that's that you hit the nail on the head, in the sense that I kind of realized that my success was in a very limited space, in a very limited situation, out of all of the sales arena. And because I wanted to build a career as a sales trainer, I'm like, I can't be closing my mind and thinking I'm the best. Because don't worry, people will pay for that. I'll be honest, they'll pay for that level of confidence, but it's just not going to be as good. And I think that's going back to the plateau, is constantly thinking, what could I be doing better? That's really what is the difference between the guy that's exceptional and the guy that's okay or good at their job.
Yeah, it helps if you have a good manager, if you have a mentor, if you have someone to keep you in line. If you don't, I would urge you to get someone to kind of always keep you in check, to just assess where you are, not even with your skills. Like if you're in sales for a long time, you know what you can do and where you're good and where you're bad. Like if you have any sense of self-reflection, you'll know that. But I'm like mentally check you. Like, where is my attitude? Where is my energy?
But that's I think probably the hardest part for sellers, is to kind of figure out what is it that, why am I so cocky? First of all, I think I remember like in over 6 years of management, I was always saying that my biggest lesson was that whenever I thought I made it, that's when like I was like, what the hell are you talking about? That's exactly what screws you usually, is that you think you made it, and then I just hit back the chopping block.
Oh, myself. My friend, people don't think in this way. Especially most sellers are taught from very early stages of their career that you have to be confident. You have to be 100% sure of yourself, especially when talking with prospects. And that spills over to real life. And that has a lot of unintended consequences, like not being able to correctly assess yourself.
Yeah, agreed. And again, it's part of the ego that you build up. It's part of the feeling you're on top of the world. And these are all things that luckily the good ones end up fixing. Yeah, it just doesn't happen always right away, basically. But that would be the sum up of the advice. If you're on a plateau, it's a very good chance that you're not looking enough inwards and you're just looking outwards. This problem, that client, that the market, whatever crap, basically.
Best advice that I can give it is the best advice that I got recently, and I will shout out to my friend Christian Radek. Awesome guy, 100% no bullshit salesperson. Awesome guy, by the way. He told me, get a coach and get someone who will call you out on your crap.
Yes.
If you don't have a mentor, just get a coach, someone who will call out your crap, because you're not seeing the crap that you're kind of emitting out of yourself.
I actually would say that this has become my mantra, but my biggest income is almost my biggest expense, which is sales training and sales mentoring. Like I'm constantly investing money in that. And I think most people, I mean, look, don't buy everything that you see online, but I think one-on-one mentoring and coaching is still one of the best ways to become better at your craft, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Well, cool. Good topic. We will finish. I'm guessing we will finish a little bit early because this is a bit heavy topic, like heavy in our mind. So we will close it up. Let's maybe just summarize, like in 1 or 2 sentences for the slumps, and then 1 or 2 sentences for the plateaus. So let's go with slumps first.
But slumps, I think it's simple. It's about mental inner game problem. Talk to your manager, analyze yourself, and you'll be okay.
My 2 cents there is, what is the dialogue that you're having with yourself? So assess your self-talk, and then you'll see, or try to assess your self-talk, try to detach yourself from yourself, and to see what are you doing. I think that will usually kind of get you the kicking about. As for plateaus,
I think we both agree it's really about going back to the drawing board and figuring out, getting your head out of your ass, essentially, and understanding that
get a
you've got
coach
more to learn.
And you probably either get a coach or get someone to call you out on your bullshit.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, another great session. Thank everyone for listening. Please like us and subscribe if you came this far, and we will see you in the next episode. Have a good one, everyone.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye.